My name is Anjali Anwar, and today I'll be presenting our paper on women workers' experience of control on location-based home service platforms in Bangalore, India. Control mechanisms are critical in configuring employment relations, particularly in the gig work context where the employment status of workers remains widely contested. However, studies on platform control largely look at male-dominated occupations such as ride-sharing and delivery work. Women workers in India are subject to various forms of socio-cultural control from their immediate family, the local community, as well as state and other formal institutions such as universities, factories, and so forth. These relations are shaped by patriarchal, caste, and class structures unique to India. Given this context, our study examines how women working on location-based platforms in India identify and negotiate both explicit and implicit forms of control. We recruited 19 beauticians on the two main home service platforms in Bangalore to conduct our research by booking their services through the apps and held in-depth interviews ranging between 40 minutes to 2 hours. To analyze the data, we used both open as well as provisional coding. We adopted Kellogg's framework to organize our findings on platform control mechanisms, which broadly fall under two buckets, algorithmic as well as non-algorithmic forms of control. Algorithmic control can be further divided into 6 R's, as you can see on this slide. So this would be an example of algorithmic recommending and restricting. This would be an example of algorithmic recording and rating. And finally, this would be an example of algorithmic rewarding and replacing. While gig work platforms predominantly exercise algorithmic control mechanisms, we found that they also deploy non-algorithmic means such as bureaucratic evaluation through human supervision. For instance, trainers scrutinize and evaluate worker performance in the initial training as well as retraining periods. Once we identified the ways in which platforms exercise control over workers, we explored how women gig workers experienced and responded to these control mechanisms. We found that since women's mobility is heavily policed by their families and community due to legitimate as well as constructed safety concerns, women manipulated instances of platform control to convince their families to let them work on the platform. Participant 7 discusses how she emphasized algorithmic recording functions to overcome her family's safety concerns. My family was scared, so I told them, look, there's good security here. For starting the job and ending, they ask for an OTP. Then if something happens, if there's a problem, there are people for us. Similarly, workers also utilize platform control to navigate difficult situations with customers. Participant 17 talks about how she relies on company policy, a form of bureaucratic evaluation, to ward off unwanted male customers. I made him understand company policy. Until we talk to the woman client, we are not supposed to come to take the service. I tried to make him understand, but still he's requesting me, please come, please come. And I said, no, I cannot. Please cancel this thing. Based on these findings, our analysis suggests that women beauty workers use platform control to negotiate entrenched patriarchal, casteist, and classist relationships within their families and customers. Participants actively utilize platform enacted control to further their socioeconomic and physical mobility. However, even as beauty workers exercise agency, platform control does not structurally challenge the socio-cultural logic that restricts women's lives in India. Rather, it seeks to displace traditional control structures such as the family with its own control mechanisms. As participant 7's experience highlights, it is not so much that with platform work, her movements are no longer scrutinized. Rather, it is the assurance that the platform will continue to monitor and control her movements, which pacifies her family and lets her engage with gig work. Similarly, opaque rating mechanisms, alongside the shift in spatial dynamics, work to entrench power asymmetries between customers and workers, invisibilizing yet reinforcing caste and class structures. Women's bodies and actions continue to be governed, only now through the economic logic of gig platforms. Thank you so much for listening. Do read our paper, Watch But Moving, the Platformization of Beauty Work and its Gendered Mechanisms of Control.